Good evening, Facebook. Good evening, Periscope. How are we doing this day? How are we doing? As you come on, could you make sure that you're sharing with every person? And give me your name and where you're from. I'm Gerald. I'm here solo today. My wife is not with me. And this broadcast is Bent But Not Broken. And it's the title, A Man's Attitude Towards Marriage. Come on. If you know a male, you know your father, your uncles, your brothers, your cousins that are males, wives, it's for you too. Daughters, it's for you too, because you need to know how's a man's attitude towards his marriage or towards marriage. So this is not one of these messages or these broadcasts that you want to miss. You want to make sure that you're in tune for the whole 30 minutes. You want to make sure you sharing this. You make sure you like this. You make sure you giving us some likes and thumbs ups and some hearts, because I'm telling you, this is one of these shows tonight that you're not going to want to miss, because you're going to want to know how a man's attitude is towards a marriage. Because I'm telling you, it's one of those times, and it's one of these episodes, broadcasts, that you will be blessed. Truly be blessed. I see my wife on. Hey honey, how you doing? I'm glad to see you on. All right. Make sure as you come on, you share. Please share. Please share. This is one of those times that I need you to share with everybody that you know. If you know anybody that's your Facebook friends, I need you to share it. I need you to give me some hearts, show me some love, because I'm telling you, doing this without my wife today, it's been one of these days. But God is going to give me the strength to get through this thing. Yes, He is. Yes, He is. So, today, our topic is a man's attitude towards marriage. Now, I don't know what's your attitude of growing up towards your marriage, but I'm going to talk about me. What type of marriages did I see as I was growing up? I grew up with my grandmother. My mother had a marriage, two marriages, and they weren't good. They weren't good at all. They were toxic. And as a young man growing up and you seeing a toxic marriage, people say that you're a product of your environment. If you stay in a toxic environment and you see toxic marriages, you're prone to having a toxic marriage. And so I just wanted you to know that my perspective of being in a single parent home, first with my mother and then moving in with my grandmother at a young age. And my grandmother was divorced, and her marriage made her angry, bitter. She really didn't know how to love. And I thank God that before she passed, she had an opportunity to forgive and forget all of the hurt and the pain that she had to live through. But growing up, never seeing a complete family, never seeing a husband take care of his responsibilities to a wife or to his children is devastating. And all of my friends that I grew up with, they were in single parent homes, so we kind of all, stayed together. And so when you start going back and looking at your perspective and your attitude towards a marriage, I remember when I was young, I said, man, we were sitting around with some friends, and I was like, man, I'm going to marry me somebody that's going to take care of me. I'm going to marry me a rich girl, somebody that's going to have some money, that's going to be able to, take care of me. And, let alone, I didn't know my words had power. And so I went through my whole life, using women for that simple purpose. I just wanted you to take care of me. If you had an apartment, I was in college, I was staying with girls that had an apartment. I was staying with girls that had a car. So it was literally a user mentality. And so when you start looking at, we're talking about relationships. And so those relationships is the ultimate thing of building, getting into a marriage, because you start doing things that you're supposed to be doing while you're married. So, but before I get started, I'm going to give you some scriptures. I'm going to give you from the Old Testament to the New Testament about your attitude, God's attitude, Jesus' attitude, and the way, the pattern of a relationship. So we're going to start out with at Genesis 2:4. It says, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Now, me and my wife was talking about that last week and some yesterday about two becoming one. And with that is that you have to understand that at some point, husbands, men, you have to leave your mother and your father. You can't have a relationship and be in a relationship with your wife, and then soon something goes wrong or something goes awry, you run to mother and your father, and then they comfort you. They give you this safe haven. Man, you don't have no safe haven. Get out of that house and get back to your wife and stand there as a man. I'm telling you this because I did it. Every time I had responsibility roles that I was supposed to do, my responsibilities and anything that had to do with me standing up and being a man, I was running. Soon as my wife starts saying, this is your responsibility, this is your role, this is what you're supposed to do as a husband, I wasn't paying attention to that. I was running. I was leaving because I didn't want to hear it. First of all, I didn't want to hear it. Second of all, I was embarrassed because I didn't understand it. Third, it was something that you were speaking a foreign language to me. I didn't understand it. And so I ran away from it. So now what I'm saying to you is you can't run. You can't run to mother. You can't run to your daddy. You can't run to these people and get what they should be saying is you're a grown man. You need to be going back to your wife and figuring out how you're going to live to be a married man. And this is not what you signed up for. You didn't sign up to come back to my house. And parents, if you're sitting there letting your child stay in your house and running away from their family, running away from his family, running away from his responsibilities, you're wrong. You're wrong. Because in Genesis, it says, therefore shall a man leave. He didn't say come back and hang out. He said leave his father and mother. Mothers, let them go. I know that's your baby, but you gotta let them go. And shall cleave. That means cling on to your wife. Hold on to your wife. Be partners with your wife unto his wife, and they shall become one. How you gonna become one if you at your mama's house? I did it. I'm just telling you, me. I ran. I was at my mom. I was running to my uncles. I was running out of town. I was just running wherever I could go to get away from my responsibilities. Okay. So now that was the Old Testament. Okay. That was God speaking. So now we're gonna go to Matthew 19:4-6. And he answered and said, he was talking to the Pharisees, and he answered. This was Jesus' red letter, and he answered and said unto them, have ye not read? So he's basically telling them, have you not read the Old Testament? What they said in the Old Testament, those Sadducees, Pharisees, that they studied, that you didn't read it, that which he made them at the beginning in Genesis, made them male and female. So I ain't gonna get into that. And said, for this cause shall a man leave, here we go again, leave father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they twine, means two, shall become one flesh. Wherefore they are no more two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man put aside. Listen. Did you get that part? It said, therefore, what God put you together, right? So why are you running? I'm talking. This is how God was talking to me. Why are you running? Why are you running from your responsibilities? I couldn't run to my mother, my father. My father wasn't around. So I'm dealing with rejection, abandonment, frustration, anger, bitterness. I'm telling you, I didn't get past any of that stuff until I literally was probably, 10 years into my marriage, maybe 11 or 12 into my marriage, because I wasn't understanding. I was still dealing with abandonment issues, rejection issues. So when my wife was my high school sweetheart. And so when she left to go off to college, I went into a rejection state. My attitude towards a relationship with a girl had totally changed, because when I was chasing her for 2 years, I wouldn't talk to another girl. They had no opportunity and no chance at me, because all I wanted was her. So once she went off to school, I fell into a rejection state. Now I'm rejected. I was feeling rejected from, living with my grandmother and not living with my mother. My father not being around, so I'm feeling rejected and abandoned from that situation. And I didn't know all of this stuff as I was growing up. I just thought maybe, it was normal, because most the people that I was around was living like that. So I just thought everything was normal. So as I was sitting there, God started dealing with me and started bringing me into a mature state of mind and dealing with relationships and dealing with my marriage. It was like, okay, he took me all the way back to how I dealt with, how did I look at a marriage. I was like, man, I don't even know what a good marriage looked like. I've never seen a good marriage. So how was I going to do that? And so then he gave me an opportunity. He took me back to my junior college, where I was living with a family, Doug and Cindy Gray. Shout out to Doug and Cindy Gray. Thank you so much for treating me like I'm your son, and you still do today. Thank you very much. But I had an opportunity to witness what a family looked like, and when I had an opportunity to see what a family really looked like, I thought it wasn't real. I thought it was fake. I used to ask them, dude, y'all can't be real. Y'all don't argue. We eat breakfast, we eat dinner together, we eat dessert, we have dessert together, and I couldn't leave the house until we did all of that stuff. And I'm like, this never happened. I'm 18, 19 years old. I've never been in a household that had this. So how was I to know how was I to know this is what a marriage was supposed to look like? I just thought it was fake. High school, I was like, man, I want my marriage to look like the Huxtables, because it looked nice to me. It looked like this. I want to be, a doctor, a lawyer, have money, have kids, and the kids go off to school. That's what I was thinking that a marriage is supposed to be. Thinking that. But my perspective was totally different also, because once I got into relationships, my relationship skills was horrible. They were horrible. And because I was dating girls for the wrong reason. I got married, not for the wrong reason, but I didn't understand my responsibilities as a husband. So my attitude was totally jacked up. I came in with me, myself, and I. This is how I'm going to do it. And you going to do it. You do it your way. And then I got kind of like, okay, I came into the marriage like, okay, my wife has everything. Degrees, a job, car, own home. She had it all. So when I said back when I was young, I'm going to marry me a girl that's going to take care of me. Okay, I was doing that all the way through college. I had girls just taking care of me. They always said, well, you looking for someone. And then all of a sudden, that relationship will go, and it wouldn't be that way. And so I was like, man, what's wrong with all these relationships? And so when I got married, me and my wife, it was like, okay, I have my love. I got my love. My wife used to always say, love ain't got absolutely nothing to do with this. It's what kind of work you gonna put into this that's gonna make this life. Oh no, I love you, Yvette. All I know is I love you, and I'm just gonna make this work. It's gonna be all right. And she would always say, because she's a counselor, she will always have this answer that would make me feel like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And I was bound. I was bound by drugs. I was bound by alcohol. I was bound by pornography, anger, rejection, bitterness, insecurities. Man, I had so many things that I came into the marriage with. And so now I'm trying to be godly and live holy and and understand how to maintain my responsibilities as a husband to a woman that already has her life set up already. I mean, she's already planning. She already has it. So I came into this thing. My attitude was, I'm gonna make this work. I love you, so I'm gonna do the right thing. And I always found myself doing the opposite. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I wasn't taking care. I wasn't providing. I couldn't keep a job. So my attitude towards the marriage was, as a provider, well, that was gone because you're not working. You can't keep it. You won't keep a job. You won't do the right things for you to be a provider. Okay, you say you love me, but you're not sacrificing anything. You're not sacrificing anything. What are you going to sacrifice? I was like, I'm sacrificing, but you're not sacrificing. I wasn't sacrificing. I wasn't loving like God say love. Okay, so I'm gonna give you another scripture on the purpose. You know, because in Matthew was that purpose. It was the purpose of the marriage. The marriage was for two to become one. It was a union, and it was something that Jesus was explaining to the people, that it was happening in the beginning. In the beginning, it was ordained. God ordained it. In Matthew, God made it the purpose of a union, a unity, two becoming one. And now he goes into Ephesians and he tells the husband, you want to know what I need you to do? You know what I need you to do? Here's your pattern. In Ephesians 5:25, it says, husbands, love your wives as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Here we go. That's where I was going wrong. I was going wrong in some of the other stuff over here too. But where I really was going wrong was I wasn't giving myself. Here's that sacrifice. When it says both of you have to die for this to work. I mean, you have to give something. You have to. I mean, if we're supposed to be the examples and the pattern of Christ to our family, but yet it says the church, husbands, love your wives. I mean, that's a command. Husbands, love your wives. Now, I already said I love my wife, even as Christ loved the church. Now, that's a different kind of love. You got to go back to where you first learned how to love. Who taught you how to love? What love did you get? Because in my house growing up, I wasn't getting a legit God type of love. I was getting the love that was coming from hurt, bitterness, anger, frustration, aggravation, all of the above. Why? Because my grandmother was hurt. My mother was hurt. They had bad relationships. And so the love that they was giving is what I was getting. I'm sorry, but that's just what I was getting. So now I'm looking at, he's saying, I'm supposed to love my wife. I'm saying I love my wife, but I'm not showing the love that God was talking about. It's that love that you're willing to give yourself. Are you willing to give? All men, if you're a husband, are you giving that type of love? Are you willing to give yourself for your wife? Are you willing to sacrifice your anger? Are you willing to sacrifice your friends? Are you willing to sacrifice that attitude that you have? Are you willing to sacrifice your pride that's holding you back? Are you willing to sacrifice that rejection spirit that you've been dealing with and you not willing to let it go? You just want to say, why you rejected me? Why you feeling this way? And then you go run to your mama, or then you go run to someone else, or you go and commit adultery, or you go, you find ways to escape. Stop escaping. You can't run away from God. You can't run away from your God-given responsibilities. I'm telling you, you can't do it. I already tried it. And if you're going to keep doing it, you're going to find out the hard way. So I'm just telling you just like this here. Cannot run. I've given you 3 scriptures of telling you from the Old Testament to the New Testament, and I gave you the pattern. So I'm just telling you, as men, because I'm telling you, you cannot run from your God-given responsibilities as a husband. As a husband. And if you think that you can run away from it, you wrong. Because I'm telling you, you cannot run away from God. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. And so if he really wants to get to you, he'll get to you. He'll change your heart. He'll change your mind. But I'm telling you, you gotta be ready. You're gonna get to a point where you're gonna be like, I just give up. I surrender. I'm telling you, surrendering is your best option. And because I had to surrender, because I wanted to understand. I wanted my marriage to work. I wanted to be a good husband. I wanted to understand how to love my wife the way Christ loved my wife. I sacrifice now. I sacrifice it when I get mad. I just say, Lord, I tell my God said, I need you to hug on her and kiss on her. Man, do you know I'm mad? Are you willing to sacrifice your anger for the betterment of your marriage? Are you too stubborn to listen to the advice that your wife is giving? Pride, Leviathan, stiff neck, stubbornness. Come on, we got to let that stuff go. We got to get delivered from rejection, get delivered from anger, get delivered from bitterness, because I'm telling you, that stuff will drive you to stuff that you really don't need to, you really don't want to do, because it'll drive you to abuse, physical, mental, and spiritual abuse, verbal abuse. It'll put you there. And so you don't want to be in that, because we talked about don't let any corrupt communication come out of your mouth. You need to put salt on your words. We talked about that. Those are strategies. Those are things that come out of the Bible that you just need to read on, meditate on the word, because I'm telling you, men, you should be sharing this. I mean, share this with every person that you know. I'm talking about young men that are trying to understand how they need to be a man. You got to understand all that stuff that you're dealing with right now. If you don't get rid of it and you get married, you bring that stuff into your marriage. And she didn't sign up for that. She signed up for the man that you said that you were supposed to be. And some of us lie.